poll this week? No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
was there? Oh.
I remember seeing that. I don't remember
Hi, everybody.
what about.
Meg's getting the poll. I didn't even know there was a poll this week. Oh, sorry. I got to move our thing over here so we can actually see the things happening. Here we go. Hello, everybody. We ran into some really exciting complications about having our books on Friday. I haven't even told you the story yet. Hey, Olga. Hey, Jace. In that Amazon was going to deliver them on Friday and now Saturday. So anyway, I paid a bunch of money to get the last shipment overnighted to see if we could get something tomorrow.
Why should we have to pay the money? They fucked it up.
I know, but they don't. They don't care. It's guaranteed delivery until it isn't, and then you're out of luck. So we might not have any of our planners on Friday. So
Awesome.
we'll just have to have a QR code to order it online or something. I don't know what we're gonna do. Anyway, hi, how's it going? We're excited to be here. We're one of the fun things about Friday. So Friday is a Women in Business conference here in the Black Hills. And one of the things that we are doing is we're interviewing some really fun people that will be in attendance at that event. And so that's one of the ways that we're sort of maximizing the value of that event for us is, and so we're keep an eye out for a new series that we're calling How the Hell Did I Get Here? And what we're going to focus on when we interview these amazing leaders is when there were pivotal moments for them in their life, when they had that moment of, how the hell did I get here? And maybe that's at the start of a journey. Maybe that's at the end of a journey. Maybe that's through a transition phase. And so we're going to connect their stories and their journey with their culture type and how that may have changed or altered, or how they see their journey through the eyes of culture type. So it's going to be a really fun way to connect people's stories with who they are and how their culture type affects, or how they are, what their culture type can tell us about their journey, I guess. So.
Yes. So announcements besides that one?
I feel like a giant right now. 'Cause
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
Twice
I
as
didn't
tall
put
as
my
you. So
seat
yeah,
up.
bring up the chair. That helps. I'll lower my chair a little bit. Announcements. I don't know if there are very many. Let's see. Shelley's looking at us like, I don't know.
Yes, you got it. SDCO, that's it.
SDCO is it? Okay. I got invited to speak at the Billy Sutton Leadership Institute about project management. So I'm going to be doing that in a couple weeks. There seems to be some other things, but that's probably. And then our planners out, and you can order that on Amazon if you're not in the area, which is super cool. And then I guess one thing that I posted on the page yesterday was about our executive coaching and our business coaching. So if you're interested in a 2-hour coaching session, thinking about what you want to do, how you want to get there, and having an external perspective of people that have seen a lot of different companies and how people have done things, give us a call, message us. We've got 3 people signed up already to make 2020 their breakout year for next year. So we invite you to join us for that. All right, what do we got for poll questions?
Okay, so we're supposed to talk about our series, the How the Hell Did I Get Here stories series. And so the first question, they all got equal amounts of votes. The first question then is, what inspired you to develop the culture type assessment?
Oh, this is a long-standing answer for people that are in our space. So I don't know how long we should. We're talking about it in here. I don't know. You want to start? Is there a short version of that story?
The short version is all the information that the business world borrowed from psychology was not actually used in a way that now suits the business world as it has evolved. And so something had to be created to help leaders understand teams and the dynamics of those teams so they could better mobilize and motivate groups of people. So we developed a system that was built for business by people who have been in business in order to evaluate team dynamics.
Mm-hmm. And I would say the urgency that we felt about developing that system is that we from mining to aerospace, we saw the same challenges around how do you actually get a team to pull together in the same direction? How do you reduce everyone's anxiety? How do you actually get things done with people who all have their own agenda, their own challenges, their own private lives, their own perspectives on the world, their own ways they like to work? How do you actually get everybody to move together? And one of the fun things I think is that with the culture types is it's almost like we give you permission to be who you are, but also awareness of that not everyone's like you. And so how do you actually communicate, bring people together and move forward together in a new way that you haven't actually seen them before? And so it gives you a new lens through which to see each other and the work and how to get things done. And that's really, really the super fun part of it.
Yeah. And as far as like inspiration, I think what inspired me was I was just really sick of trying to explain things to people that didn't make sense in business words. I used to do a lot of my training. I use the social styles behavior communication quiz.
Just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, right. It's easy to say. Great acronym. And it was, I would say that's probably one of the closer things to what we do that like makes business sense. Cause there was a analytical, and I don't even remember them all now. Anyway, I was explaining these types to Rachel one day, and she was not excited about the fact that analytical was not conjugated the same way as the other 3 types.
Yeah.
And she's like, that is weird. Why wouldn't you call it an analyzer? I'm like, because you're an analytical or an analytic or whatever. I don't even know. Now I can't even explain it. But I was like, I don't know, man. This is just the closest thing I found that actually makes sense to business people. I can use this with a group of executives at our corporate office, or I can use it with a group of miners, and they all understand it. And so that was, for me, that was the inspiration for developing something that actually worked for business with words that make sense to people. That's what one of the bigger pieces of feedback we get is it's so simple. It's as simple as it should be. Mm-hmm. It's so simple. So
yeah, and I worked with the editor of Change Management Review Journal, and he has a podcast, and he interviewed me for that. And he's been a change practitioner, like worked in companies specifically around change and transition and reorganizations and stuff. And he said that our culture type system and the framework is the simplest, most practical, not simplest, the most practical tool that he's ever seen in the change management space. So super practically useful. And I think we hear that a lot, because a lot of people that that train on this kind of stuff, they've read the book and they kind of know what the book says about whatever they're doing. And then once you get pushed on questions, they can't really answer questions because they haven't actually been boots on the ground in a leadership role where they've struggled with these things. And trust me, Meg and I have been in our respective offices in totally different verticals, pulling our hair out about why is this person doing this, or this doesn't make any sense, or why can't I get these 2 people to get along, or whatever. And so we've been there, and that's why we create that. I think that was really a lot of the inspiration, is putting a framework around the messiness that is human nature. All right, what's our other question?
What was your how the hell did I get here moment? I feel like I get to have one of those a day. Sometimes I actually don't know why I'm in my car sitting at the soccer field when my kid's not there, kind of deal.
Yeah, I gotta go see if this is a spider or a black box elder bug.
It's definitely a spider.
Please kill it. Do not put it outside.
No,
it's a box elder bug.
I thought it was a box elder bug.
Kill it too.
I don't care about them as much. They don't creep me out. Don't fall off the couch. Okay, we're just gonna. Oh, at least it flew somewhere more accessible.
Oh.
Now it's gonna fly over here.
Sorry.
These are and she broke the window. No, just kidding. These are the exciting things that we do at the hub.
I love our life. Okay. Thank you.
No, HOA.
Thank you. Hub of awesomeness.
Yeah, the hub. Yeah.
Hub.
Okay. What was my how the hell did I get here moment?
Yeah, which one do you want to tell? Do you have a different one than everyone's heard?
well, I got a couple, but I'm not sharing those.
Yeah, right. I know. Ones that you're comfortable sharing with the general public.
I don't know. I think I guess the one that sticks out for me is when I've had lots, but the one in terms of my career, the one that sticks out for me is when you and Michelle Stampy and I were sitting in here talking about writing the book and what does it mean. And Michelle really doing her job kept pushing us on, okay, yeah, but what does this all mean? Like, you guys keep telling me all these stories, but I can't really write one book out of just a bunch of stories. Like, what does this mean? And as we went through that process, there was one moment during a day where I was like, holy crap, we just created a new leadership style.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rachel was like, because she's all like, leadership styles are garbage and they don't work and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, until we created one that works.
That's true.
So I guess that moment when I was like, I guess we just actually came up with the thing that will make what we kept saying we were going to do true. And that was like well, shit, we're actually going to get this done.
Yeah.
That was one for
have
me.
a book. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm an author. I'm an author. I also, just in case you ever see me drinking anywhere, which it really actually rarely happens very often, where I'm drinking more than a beer or a glass of wine. But if you do, and you happen to ask me, about my purse copy, I have a little, how the hell did I get here story to tell every time. I'm like, yeah, well, guess what? I'm an author.
Yeah, right. Like,
so that's always fun for all the people around me.
All right, that's a good one. One of the ones that sticks out for me is I was heading off to Penn State for my PhD program. And my life partner at the time, when I first applied to go to Penn State, I was living in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And he was intending to move to Penn State with me while I went to school, because his office, he worked for a huge multinational company, and they had an office in the same city that Penn State's at. And, but he was, I don't know, because he's never taken the assessment, but he was probably a deep stabilizer. Looking back, I'm pretty damn sure that he was. And so at the end of the day, about 3 months before I left for school, it started becoming very apparent that he was not going to come, because he wasn't talking about how to move offices or who we need to talk to or anything. He wasn't doing anything in preparation to go. And I had to start looking for housing. It was probably about 6 months before that, actually. I had to start looking for housing, and he had to basically decide, or to tell me that he was not going to go, because I needed to look for me. And so that was like, I remember the night before I left, I basically did not sleep. And I got up in the morning, and I remember looking at myself. All my shit was already packed in my 90-something Honda Prelude. And I remember looking in the mirror and going, what the hell am I doing? Like, I am getting in a car and driving away from a life I had always known into this totally unknown, by myself, didn't know anybody. It was both terrifying and thrilling all at the same time. So that was my moment. And it's interesting, because both of our examples, as I'm thinking about this, was like, mine was the beginning of a big transition, but I had already made the decision. So maybe that was my let go moment, for me. And I wonder if yours was some kind of let go moment, in the sense of like, this is what my future is going to look like, or this is what the company's future is going to look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
Other moments that stick out in my personal life were moments where I was like, it started a transition out of a relationship, or whatever, or having a kid or whatever. So it's interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how the hell did I get here moments translate. Oh, hey guys. Hey Gail. Hey Marissa. Hey Annie. Hey Karen. All the humans.
You sound like good night.
Good night,
John Boy.
I was gonna say Billy Joel, but I knew that's wrong.
Billy Joel. Yeah, it's definitely, he did a guest appearance in that movie.
Right.
Show. All right, last one is, what made you decide to leave corporate? Rachel.
Oh, what made me decide to leave
That's
corporate?
no, that's my answer.
Oh, Rachel made you decide.
No, not really.
Not really. She's independent. She had to decide for herself.
The very problem that we solve is what made me leave corporate. Unspoken conversations, people's egos getting in the way of good business decisions. That's why I left.
But you always had an urge to be an entrepreneur, though, right? Or own your own company.
Yeah. I mean, that was probably that's I always wanted to do that. So that was probably like what precipitated contemplating leaving corporate, but why I really left.
What pushed you through the door?
Yeah, because even if I would have gone from, I could have not been an entrepreneur, but said, well, I'm going to go work for a smaller business or whatever. If I would have done that instead of leaving, or if I would have left corporate for that reason or that kind of a job instead of entrepreneur, it's still, that answer would be the same. It was
what pushed you out the door?
Ugly crap that I just thought, you know what, I'm not going to live every day chained to this animosity that people are actively choosing to live in and cultivate. So bye, Felicia.
I have to watch that movie or whatever the hell that's from. I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's Friday.
Bye, Felicia.
I know I always say it, but I forgot where it comes from.
Friday. It's Friday, right? And then the next one is next Friday.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's
If anyone knows,
yeah.
put in the
Friday.
comments.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it a movie?
Yeah, it's a movie.
Okay. I'll have to watch it sometime.
Yes, it's horrible,
Okay.
but it's got one
At least
good
I'll
line.
understand the reference.
Yeah. Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia. Okay. My move out of corporate was not my choice. I was laid off. Wasn't really corporate, but it was big organization. I left corporate and that's really tough too, because I worked corporate and then I was promoted into a government role, which was a leadership role in that organization. But that was still big projects, big stuff, big teams. And then I left that because of some of the same challenges that you're talking about, the egos, I've always been fighting as a young professional. I don't know if being a woman had anything to do with it, but fighting for a voice in a big organization as a young person was impossible. Like I remember begging, I went to a meeting about some big change that was going to happen in the company and the organization I was in. And I remember standing up and saying, can we have some kind of junior scientist or junior employee like committee or some way that we feel like we have a voice? And I was pretty much told no. And I just felt like I was kind of yelling into the void and no one was hearing me in a lot of ways. So when I left that company, that was basically, I left during a reorg, and I knew I was working away from the home office, and I knew that there was clearly a reorg coming, and I'd spent years cultivating relationships with my current organization and the way it was designed, and I knew that would all be kind of thrown up and shaken up and spit out in some other way that probably I hated, and that if I wasn't there, it'd just be super hard to navigate. And plus, I was kind of been doing that job for like 7 years, so it was awesome. Probably my favorite job before this one. And it was just time to go. I was feeling like I wasn't very challenged. But how I got to do this job or work for myself is I was laid off. I worked for the president of a university who retired, and usually you turn over the staff of the office. And I hope to survive that turnover, but I didn't. And so I started working for myself full time, which was terrifying. So for those of you thinking about it or already doing it, way to hang in there. So that was why I left a big organization, as I was told to leave, which is really a total mind-bending experience. But awesome. Yeah. And so how do you think your how the hell moment relates to your culture type? Since that's sort of the premise of our audio show.
I think that, so I obviously didn't know my culture type at the time. Oh no, that's when I leave the corporate moment.
Mm-hmm.
that was maybe another how the hell moment that I had. I guess maybe as an independent, I was really shocked that something like I stuck something out long enough to actually see, you know, I mean, not that I don't finish things, but to sit down and be very persistent about getting some document written, like
God bless you.
a book. Well, not God bless me. God bless Michelle for writing it, but
Right.
that seemed like I was just like, I'll be damned. We actually wrote a book and created a leadership style. And I think too, it does kind of lead back to that whole why did you leave the corporate world? Because it was kind of like a you.
Because I remember the book came out only like 6 months after you actually left, ish.
Yeah.
And so I think people were like, holy crap, you wrote a book already, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't give a shit what they were thinking, but I was pretty excited that I was like, see, I told you the world could be better. You should have listened to me because I'd still be working for you and just improving your world instead of everybody's.
But I think too, though, it makes me curious. So you actually were embedded in a big merger or acquisition. I forget which one it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you think that part was super fun and challenging, and then maybe the routine stuff wasn't as fun? Were you like super always scrambling to find new solutions and get people on board and all that, and then after that was all over, it was kind of just
then I created because then I started creating all the content. So
right,
I was in the middle of a couple of shitstorms when
right, and you co-created the safety program, and so you did have other things that you were creating as you were there.
It was just a really crummy environment matched up with a good opportunity to leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine was when I was in my how the hell moment, when I was staring at myself in the mirror thinking, how the hell did I get here, before I got in my car and drove away from a home I owned with my partner still asleep in the other room, was I think relating that to my culture type was I was always looking for a new challenge and something new and interesting, because I was one of those people that was mismatched to my job at that time. And I really didn't know it. I didn't understand what was driving me to keep wanting new and different challenges, because the job I was in didn't offer that. It was very routine and necessarily so. And the quality is very high, and the precision is very high, and all of those things. But I am not set out, built for that job. I'm a fixer. I like the chaos, love the team aspect. And that's the thing that kind of broke my heart, is that I had to leave my team. But going to Penn State as an opportunity was, if I look back over my time and when I started as an image analyst and a scientist, every 18 months I was doing something else. I worked, and then I went back, got my master's degree. I came back and I worked, and then I had an opportunity to go get my PhD. And all of that was in about every 18 months or so increments. And so when I look back, it's like, clearly I needed to explore more. I needed to have more chaos in my life than my role was offering me. And so that's why I kept jumping around. It seemed at the time I was thinking, well, I was tired of being broke as a student. So I would work, and then I would have an opportunity to do more schooling, and then I'd go back to school. And so part of it was, I had it, as we all do, we try to understand the decisions we make in the what we understand at the time. And so it made a lot of sense at the time, but then I look back and I think, oh, I needed more variety, more chaos. So for sure, being a fixer, really understanding that I'm a fixer, really like sort of take this weight off my shoulder about I am a spaz, but I have a really good reason to be because there's people I was working with that literally did that job for their whole life, never left once. And not that that's bad, or I'm better than them or they're better than me. It's just we are totally wired differently. So that was a huge sort of understanding. It gave me a lot of clarity about who I was and why I did the things I did. So
sweet.
So yeah. So we're going to be interviewing super cool leaders from for about around that, starting on Friday. So that's kind of how we're kicking off our audio series. So you
Yeah.
probably should just call it a podcast, but we both resist. We're resistors to the common.
Yeah, we're part of the
Thread.
resistance.
We are part of the resistance. That's right.
Okay, well,
Awesome.
y'all have a good rest of your week. We'll see you next week. Maybe we'll see some of you Friday at the SDCEO event.
All right.
Lead powerfully.
Change the world.
Bye.
Bye, guys.